Yo guys, Paunchy here, and today I'm going to show you how to use the LFO on your Moog Grandmother. Let's go. Alright, so today I want to show you how to get some sounds out of your LFO. Now, to me, with any synth, there's two kinds of sounds. One sound is the type that's super musical, melodic type stuff. And then the other one is super crazy, off the wall, noise kind of stuff. Now, trust me when I say I'm a fan of both, especially the noise stuff. But so I want to show you how to get a little bit of both here today using the LFO. So one of the first things, let's take a look at all the knobs here. We got the rate, pitch amount, cutoff amount, pulse width amount, and then your waveform. So the rate, hopefully most of these are self-explanatory, but we'll go through them. The rate controls the speed, as indicated by this light there. So basically, when the rate, you can change the rate and nothing will happen by itself. You have to have one of these other knobs turned up. The amount, any of these knobs that say amount on them. So we'll keep the rate about 12 o'clock for right now. Now, another thing, your LFO can be controlled by your mod wheel down here, right down here. And so what you'll want to do, these amount knobs control how much amount of whatever it is you'll get when the mod wheel is all the way up. So let's go ahead and leave the mod wheel all the way up. Hopefully that wasn't too confusing. But you'll see what I mean here in a sec. So let's start with the pitch amount. The pitch amount is probably it's one of those where it's super easy to go into the noise territory. And then, if you're new to synths, you're kind of left asking yourself, like, how do I make this into something that I can use, like in a song or in a live setting? So let's go ahead. I'll show you how the pitch amount. So if you turn the pitch amount like to 12 o'clock, you get some crazy stuff. Also, by the way, for now, we're going to use the sine waveform. I guess real quick, going through all those, the first one is the sine waveform. The second one is sawtooth. Third one is ramp. And the fourth one is square. So anyway, yo guys, so one thing real quick that I forgot to mention is to go through the different waves in the waveform section. Now I'll kind of explain them here, but feel free to look at your grandmother and I'll go through them in order. The sine wave basically makes the LFO, like I was saying before, it makes stuff go like up and down super fast. The sine wave is a very smooth curve, so it makes the LFO act in a very smooth up and down motion. The second one is the sawtooth one. Now that's the one I like to call, and keep in mind this is only in regards to the LFO, like these waves function differently like as an oscillator. But the sawtooth one, I like to call that the slow fall, because it goes up super fast. It goes from your original setting to super high, and then it falls down super slow, so it's like boo kind of a thing. The second one I like to call the slow rise. It's kind of the opposite of the sawtooth. It's called a ramp. So if you can imagine, it's like a slow, kind of like a roller coaster, like when you're first going up. It's super slow to go up, and then as soon as it hits the top, it falls back down to where it was. And then the final one is a square wave. Now, if you can imagine, the LFO, in regards to the square wave, makes it so it's very abrupt. It's basically like an on-off kind of thing. So it's like 1 second, your pitch, for example, would be down here. The next second, it's up here. And it just like alternates between the two rather than going like up and down super fast between the two. So that's something to keep in mind when you're choosing a waveform for your LFO. So anyway, for now, we'll just use the sine wave. So you got your pitch amount at 12. You got your rate at 12. 12 o'clock, by the way. And if you press a note, that's not exactly the most musical thing you could do, So that's the easy way to get some noise out of the pitch LFO. Now, also, what's happening here, it says modulation up here, but this is indeed your LFO as it's indicated on other synths. It usually is marked LFO instead of modulation, but they're the same thing. So what you're doing here is the LFO, which stands for low frequency oscillation. If you ever look at a low frequency wave, it's got a lot of space in between the crests, they call it, or the up and down parts. So what it's doing here is essentially taking the pitch and it's going up and down. It's going from your original note, which in this case is a C, and it's going as high as whatever how high this knob tells it to go. So essentially the pitch is going, up and down like that, like super fast, So a good way to get a musical sound out of that is to actually turn the pitch knob just barely up. Like, I guess if that's 0, turn it to 1. So see there how you get more of a... When you do that, you get less of a noise type of effect, and you get more of a subtle vibrato. Turn it down even more. Just to where you can barely hear it. And also keep in mind your mod wheel is all the way up. So like I was saying at the beginning, you want to set the LFO while your mod wheel is all the way up, and then go ahead and back the mod wheel down. So let's listen to it. So you can kind of use the mod wheel as a control for your LFO to make it even more musical, people typically do the mod wheel on, a note that you hold out longer or something. So anyway, so that's the pitch wheel. That's how to make it. And also, real quick, I guess if you turn the rate down, maybe not that far down. If you turn it, if you adjust the speed a little bit, you'll be able to find a good setting for you. So let's go ahead and move on to the next one, which is the cutoff amount. Now, what does the cutoff refer to, you might ask? Well, for one, it's green, which corresponds to the filter section here. Also, the fact that it says cutoff also corresponds to the filter cutoff knob here, which is the knob that anyone that is first getting into a synth, this is by far the easiest knob to play with and start using right away. So anyway, I have my filter about 12 noon, 12 o'clock. So let's go ahead and mess with the cutoff amount. Let's turn it up really high. Maybe, yeah, okay, let's turn the filter down a little bit so you can kind of hear better what it's doing. Sorry, I had my mod wheel turned down, so I turned it back all the way up. So what that's doing, the LFO is taking the filter and going like this, up and down, super fast as the rate will allow it. So the first knob controls the pitch, second knob controls the filter. Now those are the two most common LFO destinations, if you will, or settings on most synths. And you can definitely use both of them to obtain all kinds of crazy sounds. So, this is a little drastic, this sound I have here right now. That kind of sounds like, that's like that old school sound that they used for like spaceships and stuff, probably in like radio shows and old TV shows and movies and stuff. But so that's not the most musical thing unless you're specifically going for a space sound, But if you turn it down, so you can mess with that. This stuff sounds really cool when you actually change the filter knob and just leave the LFO the way it is. And if you think about it, if you're touching the filter cutoff while the LFO is also modulating the filter cutoff, you're essentially, an LFO is kind of like a second pair of hands, or a second set of an extra hand, excuse me, that's also doing something for you. So when you're actually playing, both your hands are being used on something else. Like the LFO basically acts as a third hand for you, which is really, really nice. So, and finally, the pulse width, it's not so much important what it actually does scientifically, more so what it sounds like. So let's check it out. So it's very, very similar to the cutoff amount. And keep in mind, the pulse width actually only, so you see how there's this like white line around it, as compared to the other two that don't have it. The pulse width amount actually only, so it affects the pulse width, which seems obvious, of course, but it only affects pulse width. Like the only two waveforms that have pulse width are these last two here. So one of your oscillators has to be using one of these two last waveforms. So as you can see, my oscillator 1 is on square. So it does indeed affect that. Otherwise, if you're doing, I believe, sawtooth or ramp here, or no, excuse me, triangle or sawtooth, you're not going to get, this isn't going to affect anything. So that's one thing to keep in mind. You know, that's why that's why synths can be tough, because you know a lot of stuff like that is hard to figure out unless someone tells you, you know, or you look it up. So so that's it for now. I should have mentioned early on that I was only going to talk about the grandmother as it's already wired. I didn't talk about any of the you know, any of the semi-modular stuff that you can do here, but maybe I'll cover that in another video if you guys want. But yeah, so that's it for now, and leave a comment down below if you have any questions. Please like and subscribe if you like this type of content, and if you're subscribed, don't forget to ring the bell so you can get notifications when I release videos. I release videos every week, so right now I'm on a huge grandmother kick. I'm also really stuck on my Electron gear. I'm doing a lot of tutorials for those as well, so keep an eye out for that, and I'll see you guys next time.